Hello, hello! Deuxième épisode de The Stanley Parable, Ultra Deluxe. Deuxième session. Et je viens de relancer le jeu à l'instant. On m'a demandé de remettre l'heure. Et j'ai ce message. Attendez, attendez. Attendez. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Avant de commencer, est-ce que je peux dire quelque chose? Merci d'avoir vraiment réglé l'heure les 2 fois où vous avez lancé le jeu. C'est excellent. Tant de gens ne prennent pas cette étape au sérieux. Ils laissent l'heure régler sur 12 heures et basta. Mais vous avez pris le temps d'indiquer l'heure et je vous en suis reconnaissant. Je sais ainsi que vous vous souciez de votre expérience. Votre attention est focalisée sur le jeu. D'ailleurs, je n'ai aucun moyen de vérifier si l'heure que vous avez entrée est correcte. Je vais vous dire, nous allons passer un marché. Puisque vous faites preuve de tellement de bonne volonté, la prochaine fois que vous lancerez le jeu et verrez cet écran, vous n'aurez qu'à saisir votre heure préférée. Allez-y, choisissez l'heure que vous voulez, même si ce n'est pas la bonne heure. Vous l'avez bien mérité. Sur ce, je vous laisse accéder au jeu. C'est gentil. C'est excellent. Et il y a un succès, c'est genre ne pas jouer au jeu pendant 10 ans. J'aimerais bien savoir. Enfin, je suis sûr qu'il y a des gens qui attendent là. Ça doit faire 8 ans ou 9 ans qu'ils n'ont pas lancé le jeu. Ils attendent. Commencez le jeu. Alors, on va essayer de faire ce qu'on n'a pas fait la dernière fois, c'est-à-dire
This is
une
the
run.
story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked.
Ouais, ça, on peut passer. On va essayer. Ah, succès. Heureux de vous revoir, 90G. Quittez le jeu et relancez-le. C'était facile. On va faire
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
une run où on
Stanley
écoute
decided
exactement
to
ce
go to
qu'il
the
dit.
meeting room. Perhaps he had
Mais
simply missed a
d'abord,
memo.
je vais essayer de faire la run où on se retrouve avec le test là, avec le bébé. Oh. C'est nouveau ça?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
C'est complètement nouveau ça? Ah oui, il faut trouver aussi avec le téléphone, une run avec le téléphone. C'est un piège. Wow. It's a trap! Oh no!
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Ok. On dirait que c'est que des traquenards.
Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Ils m'ont enfermé.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, here we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Ça va être que des trucs nuls comme ça.
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
On peut sauter maintenant? Mais non. Ah, c'est que dans le cercle.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
C'est trop bien. Qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Qu'est-ce qui va se passer? Ah, bon, on peut tout simplement plus sauter. J'adore. Et t'as ça dans l'angle. Intriguant, ok. Dans ce vieux hangar. Waouh! Ça, c'était une expérience folle.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Ok. Ouh. Le vide intersidéral.
That's it? No, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Ça ressemble vraiment. Ça restart vraiment le jeu. Oh punaise. Ah, c'est pas pareil. Tu sais jamais si t'es dans la même run ou pas. C'est c'est excellent.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
C'est un piège.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Allez, c'est fermé.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
Ok.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Donc là, on va essayer... Allez,
Stanley
on
was
fait le
so bad
téléphone.
at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley,
Et il faudra
I think
refaire
perhaps we've
ça,
gotten off on
aller
the
là-bas
wrong
pour
foot
voir
here.
la pièce avec le
I'm
bébé. Il
not
appuie
your
sur le bouton,
enemy,
voir ce qui se
really,
passe.
I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Alors,
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
la lumière blanche.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Le numéro de son appart, c'est le même que son bureau.
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my
Voilà.
story now.
Non! Il prend le contrôle.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Et si je refuse d'appuyer sur le bouton flèche du haut de ma manette?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Je refuse. Est-ce qu'il va parler si on ne fait rien? 3, 2, 1.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
pas elle dit.
As he wandered through this
Oh,
fantasy
ça a changé.
world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Il y a une histoire d'enfant.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Ah, votre fat que vous
But there
l'aimez.
is no answer. How could there possibly be?
C'est en train de se
In
transformer en mon
reality, all
bureau,
he's
quoi.
doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see?
Je l'ai
Can he
fait.
just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Appuie sur vidéo pour ne rien remettre en question.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Veuillez mourir.
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
C'est horrible comme fin, ça. C'est affreux. Ah, mais là, on est de retour. On est de retour ici, ok.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Ok.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Take a look. Oh. Sur Elder Scrolls 6, c'est toi?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
C'est Memory Zone.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap Xbox port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Ok. C'est excellent. Oh. $1, $1. Oh, l'achievable. It is impossible to get the achievement. Ah, 5 ans. Moi, dans les succès, c'est 10 ans.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Qu'est-ce qu'on a ici? Rien. Comme c'est étrange. Le vélo.
Here's another moving passage, this time from
Carpet texture.
GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the Xbox. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Mhm. Ah. Il y a des cartons. C'est serious room. Comment je fais les cartons?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But
Ah,
I
là, c'est bon.
wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
C'est lugubre. Ok.
Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Ah, on a vu les...
Honestly, I could not be
Les
bothered to
tests
play this game to
positifs.
full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Ok. Je sais même pas où on est là. C'est censé représenter quoi? Tous les commentaires qui sont sur les
Okay,
travaux.
let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
On va finir noyé.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have
Ça
you,
boucle.
and therefore by becoming it is, so on
Il y a
and
bien,
so forth,
il y a bien une
until
fin, pas?
inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions
Eh
left
bien, à un
until
moment, ça
so much
s'arrête, non?
more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say
Il y avait une autre solution, une
and the
sortie.
choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah.
Je suis sûr, il y a des gens qui se sont dit, je suis resté 2 heures, ça n'a pas changé.
No, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to
Je craque.
manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are or were or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once, that you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. 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 Treatise, manifesto.
Je tiendrai. Je tiendrai.
Manifesto. Treatise, 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 manifesto.
Est-ce qu'il y a une voie de sortie ou pas?
Manifesto.
Est-ce qu'il se lasse ou pas?
Manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
On va faire un petit ASMR.
Manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Manifesto.
Treatise,
Treatise.
manifesto.
Manifesto.
Treatise, manifesto.
Manifesto.
Treatise, manifesto.
Manifesto.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Je tiendrai bon.
Treatise, manifesto.
Je tiendrai.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Une petite ASMR.
Manifesto.
ASMR miam miam.
Treatise, manifesto.
C'est l'occasion.
Manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, Manifesto.
Est-ce qu'il y a vraiment une limite? Je suis sûr, il y en a, ils ont laissé tourner pendant je sais pas combien de temps.
Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise.
On dirait une sorte d'Harry Potter.
Treatise. Manifesto. 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 Treatise. Manifesto.
Bon.
Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto.
Allez, je craque.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their pressurized gas review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on how exactly pressurized gas works. Perhaps that would have been a smart thing to check on before I went on about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is who runs pressurized gas will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with pressurized gas altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
Et il parle plus?
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last
Il y a plus de
one was,
porte.
well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave?
Je vais le faire.
Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
C'est comme les vidéos, tu sais, où ils font ça avec des chiens ou même des enfants avec des bonbons. Ils les mettent devant un plat et ne pas toucher. Et t'as les maîtres ou les parents qui s'en vont. Je ne regarde pas le bouton. Je ne regarde pas le bouton. Par contre, il a parlé d'une demi-heure ou 45 minutes. Il y en a qui ont vraiment attendu une demi-heure ou 45 minutes. Bon, il n'y a pas de porte cachée. On fait vraiment tout le truc qu'on s'ennuie. Allez, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 3 et demi, 2. C'était plutôt 2 et demi. Et ensuite 2. 1. 0.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child. Wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh my
Ils se sont
God.
fait chier quand même à
And
tout
it's all
écrire.
because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am, now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking?
Chaussature. Je craque.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it.
Allez, ciao. Plus de patience. Voilà. Voilà, il est cuit. L'horloge est cassée. Il n'y a plus de narrateur. Enfin du calme. Oh, ce son, mon Dieu. Horrible.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the...
Voilà, ça devient long ce passage. Hein.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the...
Voilà. Chute d'eau par ici. Je sais pas s'il se passe des trucs à chaque fois, si on fait rien pendant X temps, si au bout d'un moment, s'il y a quelque chose. Oula. Au bout d'un moment, on va réussir à sortir. Oh, stylé. Ah, moins stylé. On va arriver dans le futur. Ça fait peur, ça fait peur. Oh non, le bouton est pété. Bon, bah, on fait un libre. Voilà. Bon, et où aller maintenant? Ah, un peu déçu, hein. On a
All of
répondu au
his
téléphone.
co-workers were gone. What could it
On va
mean?
essayer de
Stanley
récupérer en fait,
decided to go to the
la
meeting room.
situation avec le
Perhaps
bébé.
he had
On
simply
va essayer
missed
de
a
sauver.
memo.
Et ensuite, ça a changé ça aussi.
Oh,
New
good.
en
You
fait.
notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Ça va être la même chose.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Waouh! Wouh!
Yes, you
Ça
see,
claque.
isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Mhm.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Mhm. Tu l'es? Two doors. Avec deux mecs, deux Stanley.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
On n'a plus le choix. Oh. New features. On peut pas s'installer dans le gradin. Oh, un bus. C'est toujours plus grand. Toujours plus.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Ah, il faut choisir.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Ah. J'avais choisi bleu.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Attends, c'est où la suite? Non, c'est pas là. Attends, j'ai envie de tout fouiller. J'ai l'impression que c'est là la suite. Easy achievement. C'est un piège.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to
pue
you.
le
It's
piège.
as simple as that.
Donc j'appuie sur le levier, je gagne un succès. C'est ça la promesse.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now,
Uh-huh.
the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a
Ah.
wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Donne-moi le succès. Donne-moi le succès. fais avoir, encore.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Alors ça veut dire que si tu te bats avant d'avoir fait le saut la première fois que tu rencontres le cercle, là tu peux les dépenser ici. Des collectibles. Oh.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
On se rapproche ou pas? Oui, on se rapproche. Oh mon dieu. Oh. Oh. 1 sur 6. Bon non. Really? Ah, il n'y en a plus.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Là c'est la sortie, il faut que j'aille voir la salle avant là. La salle où je pensais que c'était la vraie suite. No screenshot. Attends, et si j'en fais un, il se passe quoi? Il se passe rien.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Essayons le bouton magique.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
Je m'appelle vraiment Jim.
Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Complètement.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Wow.
Yes, you see? What a thrill,
Incroyable.
What a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim.
Je crois qu'il y a
I'm putting the Jim
beaucoup de marteaux chez moi. Je pensais que c'était dans le
Otherwise, soon
jeu.
you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jam, 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 jam. I'm jam. Ils ont des portes partout qu'on peut pas ouvrir. Oh, celle-là, je sens qu'on peut l'ouvrir. Un peu déçu.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable too. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Ok. Trou sans fond, succès gratuit. Paramètres champion du monde. Let's go. C'est ça qu'il cherche à faire? Me faire fouiller dans les paramètres? Déçu. Qu'y a-t-il dans cette salle là-bas? Ah, le fameux trou sans fond, hein.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Let's go. Oh.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now
Tant qu'on va aller bien, c'est
since
bon.
you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you
Ouais,
this
c'était
time?
plus court.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough?
On y
I'm
retourne.
positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime.
Oui.
Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow.
Il est toujours plus petit.
Okay. Yes. I'm starting to
On va
become
finir par le
extremely
boucher.
certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Il marche plus le
Is
bouton.
the teleport button not working? You sure?
Excellent.
Well, I
Oui,
mean-
ça marche plus.
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
Ah, ça alors.
Still
Ouais, il marche pas.
nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
C'est quoi ce bruit? Voilà. Vers pas l'infini et au-delà. Waouh. Changez votre perspective. Oh waouh. Mais non. Mais c'est épique. Oh, on a vraiment cette tête-là. Incroyable. On pourrait en faire l'écran du menu. Oh waouh. Oh waouh. Changer ma perception. C'est des génies.
My head's stronger. You're
Oh! 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 C'est n'importe quoi. Changer qui on est? Excellent.
Stanley?
Héros.
Stanley? Stanley? Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Il me relaisse tout nu. Ah.
Here we
Ramenez
are.
ici.
Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Side Gem. Là on est bien. Je crois qu'on a tout testé. On peut se diriger vers la sortie. Ah, il y a... Oui, ok. Ça, on n'a pas essayé.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Waouh. La chance de pouvoir utiliser le seau. Oh mon Dieu.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Bon, bah, je garde le seau. Bon, encombré d'un seau.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Ah, collectible. Est-ce que ça s'est rechargé ou pas? J'étais à 1 sur 6, est-ce que ça va passer à 2? Ah, il n'y a plus rien. Ah. La sortie... Ah, par là.
All right, Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
À pas retourner dans le trou, je vois pas.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
C'est un peu mieux, mais bon.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Ok. Oh. On a des nouveaux paramètres. Ah, ils ont modifié tout le menu. Ok. Il y a crédit. Ok. Commençons le jeu.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
C'est la même.
427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427.
On va voir s'il y a variation.
pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Putain, ça te brain de fou, tu sais plus si c'est pareil, s'il y a des variantes.
How long to push them.
C'était dans la même run.
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
Il est où le saut? Ah oui.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire de ce saut? Ah, et là, il y a un... Ok.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Non.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes,
Tous les dialogues ont changé.
Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
C'était pas assez.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
Juste avec le saut, tu vas pouvoir explorer tout le jeu.
Your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Non. Oh. No. Bon. C'est sans fin.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Si on répond mal.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ah.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Non.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket?
Oui.
Correct. This is a bucket.
Oh, punaise.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Ah, je pense que c'est un vrai.
Trick question.
Oh là là, trop
Both.
fort.
Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Oui, tout est un seau.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm
Oui.
losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship
Faut plus
apart.
répondre.
I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
Oh non.
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Il est complètement barré ce jeu. Il y a encore les ballons, ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed
Donc là,
a
on prend
memo.
le seau ou on prend pas le seau, ça change tout le reste.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the
J'aimerais
correct
faire
way to the
celle,
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to
On
stop
retrouve
by
le
the
bébé et on
employee
appuie sur le
lounge
bouton pour le
first,
sauver.
just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a
On a fait le
work of art.
téléphone.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. What? Really?
S'enfuir.
I was in the
On
middle of
s'enfuir.
something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove
Oh,
it.
il y a des
Found one of
collectifs,
them.
c'est vrai.
One of the miniature Stanley figurines.
2
Remember,
sur 6.
no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy
Faut
that
refaire
sort of
tout le jeu
arrow,
pour les
Stanley.
trouver
God
maintenant.
knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Non.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Ok.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Et si on fait ça? On y va quand même.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing
On a
you
fait
more
5 la
choices?
dernière fois.
Feel free to be honest.
On va faire
I'm
l'inverse.
looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Et là, il va me mettre encore dernier. « 9300 on était. Ouais, c'est ça. Avec 7 heures, ok, bon, ça c'est toujours pareil.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Let's go.
In this game, the baby crawls
On va le sauver.
left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Oh, le son. Oh, le son est horrible. Je fais rester 4 heures comme ça. Je peux le faire. Je vais le faire, je l'ai. Là, il y a tout le monde qui a essayé de couper son son. Oh, oh c'est horrible. Oh Dieu. Alors, là, attends, musique, effet sonore. Eh, on est malin, nous. Ah. Ah, ça va beaucoup mieux. Ça va beaucoup mieux. sûr qu'au bout de 4 heures, le jeu s'arrête. Mais j'ai espoir qu'il s'arrête avant. Genre au bout de, je sais pas, 50 sauvetages, 100 sauvetages peut-être? Mmh. J'ai pas l'impression. Je crois que ce bébé est condamné. Je pensais qu'il allait y avoir un truc, le fait de désactiver le son. Encore 10 fois. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On va remettre l'audio.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Firewatch.
Aha!
Ensuite sur Rocket League, et
What do you
Rocket
think
League on
this game
s'était
is
jeté
about,
dans les cages,
Stanley?
mais...
What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from
Super
up
jeu
high in
Firewatch
your
aussi.
creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there. Oh, no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
No.
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful.
Rocket League.
See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ça, c'est un but direct.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought.
J'avais
And
pas
I
sauté.
realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
Oh yeah. On va mettre plein de buts.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley?
Ah oui, il y en a
You
partout,
having
partout.
fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right.
Oh, no.
Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Et là, on est obligé de sauter dans les cages. Je suppose. Woo!
Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Ok. Ouais, non, mais après, c'est la fin qu'on a déjà eue. Hum. Ok, ok. Bon, je sais plus ce qu'il fallait faire.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Et là, on revient là avec les ballons. Je vais m'arrêter là parce qu'on arrive à 2 heures d'épisode. Je trouve que ça, c'est costaud là. On a vu plein de choses. C'était cool. Du coup, à chaque fois, je sais pas si on va arriver, pas au bout, mais je me dis peut-être que là, si on refait tout ce qu'on a fait, mais qu'au lieu de prendre un petit embranchement, on en prend un autre et qu'on ait une mini variation de dialogue pour voir la différence ou quoi, je me dis ça devient moins intéressant. Par contre, on n'a pas encore fait le test où on écoute ses, comment ça s'appelle? On écoute ses ordres. Donc même si c'est un épisode qui est plus petit, qu'on tourne en rond plus facilement, et encore avec le saut, j'aimerais bien tester d'écouter les ordres avec et sans le saut. Donc je me dis, il y a moyen de faire au moins une demi-heure d'épisode intéressant. 2. Donc ça peut être cool. Donc il y aura un autre épisode Stanley Parable. Et voilà, qui sera peut-être plus court, ou peut-être qu'on va trouver un autre embranchement et nous faire découvrir d'autres trucs, je sais pas. On verra. Hello Ako, t'arrives à la fin. Ça va et toi? T'arrives à la toute fin. Du coup, merci à tous ceux qui sont passés sur Twitch. Merci à vous qui regardez cet épisode sur YouTube. N'hésitez pas à vous abonner, liker. Je vous invite à checker ma boutique, clemcreart.fr, boutique de création artisanale. Ça va, bon, nickel. Ouais, clemcreart.fr, vous avez les liens sous les réseaux, sous le stream et sous la vidéo dans la description. Ainsi qu'à suivre mes autres réseaux. En tout, j'ai 2 chaînes YouTube, 2 comptes Insta, un compte TikTok, tous les réseaux Dr Artaxia Gaming, tous les réseaux Clemcreart, c'est les produits de la boutique mis en avant sur les réseaux. Des bisous, à la prochaine, et venez faire un tour sur Twitch, je suis probablement en live. Des bisous, ciao, bye bye.